Yes, absolutely. The Jewish approach to power is unique and it's complex. On the one hand, Judaism stresses the importance of power, both as a form of Jewish self-defense, self-defense from our enemies, and also in the role that power, rightly channeled, can play in the defeat of evil. And both of those aspects of power is celebrated not only in the Bible, not only in Tanakh, but in the rabbis themselves who were living in an age without Jewish power, but recognized the role that power can properly play. At the same time, Judaism is always nervous lest we see the power that we as Jews make manifest as a sign of our own greatness rather than as a gift of God. Judaism is always worried lest we see our power as an inspiration to arrogance rather than to gratitude and humility before the omnipotence of the Almighty. Well, there's dangers in the modern world on both ends, because at times in some segments of the modern world, there is a fear to call evil by name and to state at times that evil needs to be defeated. There is a fear at times of recognizing what Kohelet, what Ecclesiastes says, that there is a time for peace, but there is also a time for war. So on the one hand, there is that. On the other hand, there is the simultaneous danger that we see Jewish power and the feats that it has accomplished as a source of secular arrogance rather than as a source of, as I said, faith. To me, one of my role models, Menachem Begin, and one of the reasons why I revere him is because he represents simultaneously this balance. He represents this balance about which I've spoken, a simultaneous recognition of the fact that Jews had to take their destiny in their own hands. They had to earn their independence. They had to fight for their freedom. And yet at the same time, that did not come hand in hand with, oh, and as we do that, we have to ditch all the religious devotion that came that we had in the 2,000 years of Jewish powerlessness. It's captured most perfectly, I think Daniel Gordis points this out, in the greatest military feat that Begin as Prime Minister oversaw, and that was the attack on the Osirak nuclear reactor. According to Yehuda Avner, Begin's assistant, who was very close with him, as the planes were on their way to the target, and this was an incredibly risky military maneuver, Begin was walking, pacing around the Prime Minister's residence, and he was saying Tehillim, he was saying Psalms. He then, after the mission was concluded, Begin said, and as Gordis points out, this captures the balance perfectly, thank God we have pilots like these. So he doesn't say, oh, we didn't have to act. He knew he had to act. Couldn't risk letting Iraq get a nuclear reactor, become a nuclear power. So on the one hand, it embodies the story, the very daring and military prowess of the modern state of Israel. But he joined it together with faith, seeing in this very exploit, as he himself said, a miracle. And that's the balance, I think, that is actually captured perfectly by Begin, which is one of the reasons why I see him as an embodiment of what Jewish power ideally displayed is meant to be. Yossi Klein Halevi has a wonderful article where he notes that at the time of the Six-Day War, Life magazine had a very famous photo of an exuberant young Israeli soldier in the Suez Canal holding up a machine gun. And that was all over the world, and yet now that picture has become forgotten, and the most famous photo in all of Israeli history is not the famous Iwo Jima-like Eilat picture, the capture of Eilat in 1948, raising the Israeli flag. It's not Ben Gurion proclaiming the state. And it's not the Begin-Sadat peace accords. The most famous picture in all of modern Israeli history is 3 unnamed soldiers standing at the Western Wall, seemingly looking up in reverence toward the wall and toward the Temple Mount. And Yossi says, rightly and beautifully, that it's the most captivating photo in Israel because of the humility it conveys. The Israeli soldiers, the epitome of Israel's new Jews, are suddenly humbled before the Jewish past and the Jewish longing. So the challenge of Jewish power is to both celebrate its presence today, the fact that there is a Jewish state, and yet to keep in mind the religious lesson that lies at the heart of this experience. This is a miracle. And that challenge is constantly with us. The challenge of maintaining this balanced perspective is constantly with us. See you in Cambridge.